Hey Warriors and Mountain Lions, welcome to this video. This is for those of you who weren't able to join us live for our college and career lesson, or for those of you who just wanted a refresher. My name is Mr. Ryan. If you don't know who I am, I'm your school counselor.
Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Cruz and I'm working with Mr. Ryan. I'm actually a counseling intern. I'm excited to work here. I've actually been in and out district. I started as a tutor, so some of you might know me as a tutor, and I also was an aide, and I'm currently a substitute teacher, and I'm very happy to be here because I was also a student at Mountain View, and I'm excited to work with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shannon and I am the school counseling intern. I am very excited to be here. This is a new process for me, but I love working with kids and students of all ages, and I feel like my goal is to show you your path and to kind of show you that you can do anything, and I'm really excited to work with you guys.
Just like in my last video where you met me, I work with students in three main areas: college and career readiness, academics, and social and emotional needs. Today's lesson is all about getting ready for college and career and life after high school. Now, when I say college and career, I mean anything that comes after high school. I know a lot of you probably automatically think of college, but it could be college, it could be a university, it could be military, it could be a trade or vocational school, it could be an apprenticeship, it could be entering the world of work. When I say college and career, I mean all of that. And so this lesson is designed to talk about what some of those options are for you after high school. So I want you to put yourselves in the future just a little bit. Sometime in the near future, between today and the end of your senior year, you're going to graduate. And so before then, I want you thinking, now what? What's going to come next? We couldn't possibly talk about all the different options that are available to you, because that would take way too long. But in this lesson, we're going to talk about some of the main ones that students do after they graduate. We're going to talk about community colleges, we're going to talk about Cal States and UCs and other four-year universities like private or out-of-state schools. We're going to talk about the military, and we're going to talk about trade or vocational schools. And just so you know, we have students that come from Mountain View High School and Mountain Heights Academy who go all over the place. In fact, just last year, the class of 2020, we have students that are now attending MSJC, RCC, Cal State San Marcos, San Bernardino, even Oregon State, Colorado State, and Alabama State. We have students all over the country and at all sorts of different levels. We have students who have enlisted in the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, you name it. So I just want you to think that all of those options are still available to you. It just kind of depends on how you want to prepare yourself now while you're in high school. The first option we're going to talk about are trade or vocational schools.
Okay, so when you think about trade and vocational schools, you're thinking about, let's say you want to go to school for art. So the Art Institute, fashion, if you want to do fashion, you'll go to FITM. So think of a trade that you just want to nail down. So if you're really into cars and you want to be a mechanic, you're going to go to a trade school. So the cost of trade schools are between medium to high. There's not as many scholarships for these schools or financial aid. So if you want to compare trade schools to community colleges, trade schools you can go a little bit faster because you're not focusing on your general ed. Whereas community colleges, you're going to have to start with your science, your math, your English, and all of those classes. So let's get to military. So there's the Marine Corps, there's the Air Force, there's the Army, there's the Coast Guard, and there is the Navy. Basically, to get into these programs, you do have to have a high school diploma. You have to take the ASVAB test, which is for juniors and seniors. Normally, within your town, you can find a branch and a recruiter, and they'll assist you with the direction you want to go. When you go into the military, there's many types of careers that you can get into. So when you're talking to a recruiter at whatever branch you're in, you want to make sure that it fits you and what you want to do. Because when you go into that field in the military, it also transfers into the civilian world.
So another option is community college. There's many nearby. The closest one to us is an MSJC. There are 3 programs available for community college. The first are vocational certificates. These are the same certificates you will receive at a trade school. The second are associate's degrees. These are 2-year degrees that can help you set up for a job. And the third option is for students who plan to get a BA. So you can start at a community college, earn up to 60 units, and then transfer those units to a UC and finish up those units there. So there are 2 requirements to enroll at a community college. The first is that you have a high school diploma. The second is that you are 18 years or older. Other than that, there's no classes you need to take at Mountain View, but it is recommended that you complete your A through G requirements. This is important for students who plan on saving time and money. It can help you transfer faster, and it can help you place at a higher level classes. And the financial costs for community college are low, so that's a pro for community colleges. So another option is to attend a UC. The closest one to us is UCR, which I love because I personally attended UCR. And there are a couple of requirements. You do have to complete your A through G courses. And you also have to have a 3.0 GPA. For this upcoming class, you do not need to submit any test scores, but if you choose to submit the test scores, it will still be considered on your application. If you choose not to, your application will still get fully considered. The next option is Cal State's. The closest one to us is Cal State San Bernardino, and this is where your counselor, Mr. Ryan, attended. For Cal States, there are a couple of requirements. The first is that you complete your A through G courses. The second is that you have a 2.5 in those courses. And the third is that if you have a 3.0 or lower, you must submit your test scores for your SATs or ACTs. If you have a 3.0 or higher, you do not need to submit those test scores. So also, Cal States are more expensive than community colleges, but don't let that be a factor in you not applying. 59% of Cal State students receive financial aid. So this means that over half of Cal State students receive money for tuition and fees. So the application deadline for UCs and Cal States actually opened up on the 1st, and they will be open until November 30th. Please remember to, if you're interested in applying, to do it soon, because if you wait until January or June of next year, it will be too late. So the next option is to attend a private or out-of-state university. These universities offer the same associates and bachelor's and graduate programs as the public universities. So the requirements for private schools or out-of-states are all different. So if you're interested in attending one of these, you must do your research and find out what they're requiring. Some require GPA, some others require letters of recommendation. So make sure you do your research on the university you plan to attend. A pro about private schools is that they're smaller class sizes, and also you have a more one-on-one interaction with faculty, so you have better chances of networking with faculty members. So a cost is a little bit different. Some might be higher, some might be lower, but financial aid can also help you cover some of the fees. So a tip for private and out-of-state universities is to sign up for their emails and also for their student portal, so you can get updates on deadlines. They also provide you to-do list, so then you can see what when you need to submit transcripts or when you need to submit one of these requirements.
So we've talked about a lot of different options for you as far as post-secondary plans go. And these are just some tips that I've thought about over the years as far as making those kinds of choices. These are the things that I wish people would have told me when I was in your shoes making those choices for myself. One tip would be to do your research. Think about what you want to do beyond college, beyond your post-secondary training, whatever that is. Put yourself, I know this is hard, but put yourself 5, 10 years into the future. What kind of job are you doing? Where are you living? What kind of lifestyle do you have? And then maybe work your way backwards. Because if you figure out what you want to do for work, then that will help you figure out what kind of degree or certificate or whatever training you need, and then that can help you find programs that will meet those needs. Another tip would be to do your research and even visit some schools or some places of post-secondary training if that's available to you. I know right now that's a little bit harder, but the good thing is that a lot of colleges and universities and schools out there are doing virtual tours. And so you can visit from wherever you are, wherever you have internet, and you can see these different places. That's a really cool option, and it's really important to do that because you want to know what the school has to offer you. My third and final tip would be to keep your options open, especially when you're applying. If you can qualify for fee waivers, for example, and not even have to pay for any applications, then what you can do is you can apply to several different kinds of schools. Apply to that four-year university, apply to your dream school, and then apply to your safe school, and apply to one that you know is going to admit you. Because then you can see who will offer you what kind of financial aid and different things like that. Yes, a four-year university is more expensive as far as their sticker price goes, but depending on how much or what kind of financial aid they offer you, it might actually be a cheaper option than, say, a community college. For example, if Cal State San Bernardino is willing to pay 100% of your tuition, but MSJC can't offer you that same financial aid, then obviously the more expensive or four-year university is actually going to be the better option for you as far as cost goes. Now, cost isn't the only thing I want you to consider, but at least if you're applying for those different schools and you're applying for your financial aid, you can have those options open when it comes time to make those decisions. All right, so those are my tips for determining what you want to do after high school. All right, I want to spend just a few minutes talking about A through G. You've probably heard about A through G a lot, so I won't spend a ton of time talking about what the different requirements are. You can see them here in this graphic. But what we have here on the left-hand side are the different subjects that are required for your A through G requirements. Next to those, to the right, is a little graduation cap, and that represents how many years of that subject are required that you take in high school in order to meet that A through G requirement. Now, it's not just enough to take that class, you also have to get a certain grade. The Cal States and the UCs require that you have a C or better in your A through G classes in order for them to even count. And so if you've done an A through G class, but if you got a D in it, you'll need to retake that class in order to get that C or better. The other thing I want to mention is that technically A through G is only required for the Cal States and the UCs. So if you're interested in going to a community college or even just starting at a community college and then transferring, or if you're wanting to go to a private or an out-of-state university, the A through G is going to be a little bit more flexible and not as required as it is at the Cal State or the UC. That being said, doing your A through G can still benefit you. If you start at a community college and you've totally done your A through G, they can place you in different classes and you can start at a higher level, which means less time, less money that you're having to pay because you're able to skip ahead at least a class or two by doing your A through G. Another benefit to doing your A through G if you're going to a community college is that you can transfer earlier than you would be able to if you don't do your A through G. As far as the private or out-of-state schools go, just like was mentioned before, they all have slightly different requirements, but chances are if you've done your A through G, you're already pretty close, if not already have met those other universities' requirements. Now what I want to talk about is how A through G compares to Mountain View's and Mountain Heights graduation requirements. You'll see here on the right this little bar graph that shows all the different subjects that we require. And the numbers within the bars tell you how many credits of each of those classes are required. Every 10 credits represents 1 year. So for example, we require 30 credits of history or 3 years. Now compare that to A through G, and you'll see that A through G requires 2 years. And so already, just by doing Mountain View and Mountain Heights graduation requirements, as long as you're getting that C or better, you're already meeting the A through G. Same thing with English. We require 4 years, they require 4 years. Math, we require 3 years, they require 3 years. They recommend 4, but at least if you've done those 3, you've met the minimum requirements. And you can see how those all compare on your own. But one thing I do want to point out is the foreign language and the fine art requirement. You'll see here at our school, we just require 1 year of either of those. So you can either do 1 year of a foreign language or 1 year of a fine art. A through G requires both. So you'll need to do at least 2 years of a foreign language and 1 year of a fine art. That's really the major difference between Mountain View and Mountain Heights graduation requirements and A through G. So if you're wanting to do your A through G, let's talk. Let's take a look at your transcript and see what you would need in order to make that happen. Now, one of the questions that you answered on that pre and post survey was about reading a transcript and figuring out which classes were A through G. What you see here is a part of your transcript that shows the credit summary. This in and of itself doesn't tell you what classes you've done that are A through G, but you can see what's required, how many credits you've completed, and how many you still have left in each of those areas. This next slide shows you a little snippet of a transcript, 1 semester's worth of what a student has done. Now, this is the slide that was on the pre-test that you guys took, that little survey. It asked you to look at this and figure out which of those top 4 classes were not A through G. Do you know? Can you tell? Which of those 4 is not A through G? Now you might look at it and say, but Mr. Ryan, they all fit within one of those subject areas in your A through G. We have English, we have math, we have history represented. What do you mean one of them is not A through G? Now that's another thing that you need to consider if you're wanting to do A through G or not, is that just because a class title fits within one of the subject groups doesn't necessarily automatically make it A through G. We have specific college prep level courses that are a little bit more rigorous that are coded differently. And I don't expect you to know all the ins and outs of the transcript codes, but there's one little mark that's on your transcript that will allow you to see if a class that you've taken is A through G or not. It's there on the left, and it's that little lowercase p. That stands for college prep. In other words, A through G. So every class that has that little p next to it is an A through G class. So you can look at your own transcript and find all those courses that have that P and figure out which one of your classes meet those A through G requirements. All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk just a little bit about how to pay for school. The next lesson that we do is going to dive more deeply into it, but I wanted to give you kind of a prep or a heads up for it. There's one of 2 applications that you guys are going to do as seniors or whenever the year that you graduate. And that's either your FAFSA or your CADA. Your FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. The CADA is the California DREAM Act application. Now, you'll only do one of those. You'll do your FAFSA if you're a documented citizen with a social security number. You'll do your CADA if you're an undocumented student. The FAFSA is the federal government, and they have different kinds of financial aid, including grants, work study, and loans. The California DREAM Act application is just for the state of California. These 2 organizations don't even talk to each other, so I know a lot of students are worried about sharing their information if they're an undocumented student, but you shouldn't have that fear because this, for the CADA, is the California Student Aid Commission, and they have special money set aside for students like you who want to be able to go to school so that you can afford it. And the applications themselves look really similar. They ask pretty much the same questions. It just depends on what your citizenship status is. They are both open as of now. They opened up October 1st, and you want to do them as soon as possible because the money's all on a first come, first served basis. But the deadline is March 2nd. Don't wait until then. In fact, during our college kickoff that I'll talk about in just a minute, we're going to do it all together. So the idea is that as many students as possible finish that application in October. You're one of the first ones in the country to do it, or in the state, and you don't even have to worry about that deadline because you'll have done it long before then. There are also scholarships, and we'll talk more about scholarships on another day, but all of these things can help you pay for school. And the only ones that you have to pay back are loans. Everything else is free gift money that you never have to pay back. And just as a pro tip, like it says here on the slide, doing these applications will help earn you credits in some of your classes, and assuming we have a physical graduation ceremony this year, they'll actually also get you a free graduation ticket. In addition to the regular amount that everybody gets, you'll get an extra one for free just for doing these applications. So a lot of benefits for doing them. This slide is just some useful websites. Come back and visit this as many times as you want. You'll see the websites for doing your FAFSA, doing your CADA, some of my favorite websites for searching up scholarships and just different things like that. Sign up for my Remind if you haven't already. There are instructions in my Google Classroom, but here's the slide right here that walks you through how to do it. You can either use your phone text messaging, or you can download the app. I use the app because I have a few different classes that I need to keep track of. In addition to me being your school counselor, I also teach a college class. I'm the yearbook advisor, and so the app helps me keep track of those things. But Remind is a super easy way for us to communicate with each other. It's basically just like texting me, which usually you'll get a response from me faster than by calling the school or sending an email. So make sure you sign up for my Remind. These are just some things to look forward to. So depending on when you watch this, this will have either happened or not. But the Thursday and Friday of October 8th and 9th, we're going to do that deeper dive into financial aid. I hope at least the majority of you guys were there. But if not, there will be a video for that as well. Wednesday, October 14th at noon, we're going to have a Zoom meeting with a representative from UC Santa Barbara who's going to talk to us a little bit about the UC system in general and then some things about UC Santa Barbara specifically. And then the next day, Thursday, October 15th, we're going to have the same kind of thing from a representative from MSJC. So I'd love it if you guys were all there. It would be cool to see you and cool for you to be able to learn about some of the opportunities that those schools can offer you. And then finally, on October 20th is our college kickoff. This is a county-wide day of just learning about your various post-secondary options and college opportunities. We're going to spend that day doing our financial aid applications. So you've already seen this lesson. You've already seen the financial aid lesson. You'll know what you need to have ready. And then on October 20th, we're going to be together in Zoom, and we're going to be working on our FAFSAs or our CADAs, and you'll be able to submit right then, earn that extra graduation ticket, earn your credits, earn that financial aid, and not even have to worry about it anymore for the whole rest of your senior year. You'll just have it done already. So that's on October 20th, so make sure you're ready for that. All right, that's it for our college and career lesson. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it informational. Come back and view this as many times as you want. I will leave this video up in my Google Classroom for the whole school year. Reach out to me if you need any help with your applications, or if you want help exploring in more depth and detail what some of these post-secondary options are for you. And let's get it done. Have a great senior year, and I'll see you in the next one. At this time, go ahead and do that post-college and career survey. It's the same questions that I asked you before, but this time it's just to help me. That data just comes to me, and it helps me see what students knew and believed before the lesson and what students now know and believe after the lesson. And I just compare the results for those to see how good of a job I did in teaching you guys. So answer those questions, answer them honestly. It's all anonymous. I want to know what you really believe about college and career related things. And I want to know if you can now read a transcript and understand which of those classes is not A through G and which of them are. So go ahead and at this time do that survey. Thanks guys. Talk to you later.